to another Tuesday Mortgage Coach interview. As everybody on this call knows, we are dedicated to helping you deliver better education, better advice to families who are getting into mortgage debt, and to do that in a way that is a competitive advantage with Realtors. So today's interview is going to be pretty awesome, pretty unique. I do want to do a shout out for last week's interview between Caleb LeGrand and Tim Brahim. I think that was a very special interview. If you were not on that call, I urge you to check it out. One of the things that makes Caleb unique in the market that he serves in South Carolina is that the majority of his clients come into his office. So if you are in a market where your clients come into your office, you want to meet a loan officer that does 305 loans last year and crushes it, giving advice to every family, don't miss that interview. Check it out. But today is all about Michele Town and Cindy Ertman. Michele, welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday call for the first time.
Thank you so much, David.
Well, we're looking forward to having you. And to help me interview Michele, I have Cindy Ertman. Cindy has become just a super close personal friend over the years. Cindy, it's been cool watching you grow. I would say for over a decade, but the last couple of years have been really interesting as you've reinvented yourself in a couple different ways, and I'm looking forward to this call.
Thanks, Dave. It's great to be here with all of you.
Yeah, so some of the folks, I think probably majority of the folks on the call know you, but not everybody knows what you're doing today. So I know are you still leading a team and doing production as a team leader?
Yeah, I'm involved in pretty much all facets of the mortgage industry and really more focused on my area of passion, which is really helping people grow and take their business and their life to the next level. So as an originator for the last 27 years, went through a kind of metamorphosis a couple of years ago when my 16-year mortgage partner decided to resign, and I had a decision that I had to make whether or not I was going to kind of start over with a new team member who was really leading the show at that point in time and handling the front end of my client base, and decided that I had it in me to launch another partnership and really go back out to the world in a new, fresh relationship. And I'm thrilled that my partner, Stephanie Green, has done just a tremendous job, and she's #1 in the branch this year and in the top 10 at RPM, so she's really done a phenomenal job. And it's been kind of fun to have some new blood and start over again in that venue. And I was managing the branch here for 7 years, 65 people, and helped manage the region, and now I act more in an advisory capacity in that role, and I'm focusing on growing, teaching, coaching loan originators to just really develop best practices and systems and take their business to the next level. So those people that really want to elevate their game are the people that I'm committed to serving. So it's a lot of fun. I love it.
I love it. I love it. By the way, real quick, how much production is your team doing, however you measure it, whether it's this year or 2015, what is the current production level, just so we know?
Well, our goal this year for our team is $100 million. We're on track to do between 80 and 100 right now.
Right on. Well, congratulations. So,
thank you.
So I love the name of your new coaching organization, Be the Defining Difference. What's the backstory on that? And just tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Well, I launched the Defining Difference officially 2 years ago, but I actually did buy the name and trademarked the name back in 2006. And I knew then that my commitment was to coaching, teaching, and training, and I did a tremendous amount of my own coaching and training. I've had a coach for the last 25 years, and in addition to mortgage coaching and training and consistent learning, I've also spent about 15 years being trained in the area of personal development. And I think I trained with Jack Canfield, who is the co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, for a year with 100 trainers from around the world, and I'm now in his International Transformational Leadership Council group, which is awesome because I get to play in that space as well and bring some of that unique work back to the mortgage industry, which I find is really the work that changes the game for originators. So the Defining Difference is really about helping people tap into their greatest gifts, kind of get a really clear vision for their future and where they want to go, and then help them develop actionable plans to be able to execute and actually create their life instead of live it, in status quo and kind of let their business and their life control them. So it's really exciting and fun to see people start to grow and expand and see a different possibility for what's possible in their life. And that's what gets me excited to get up every morning and make a difference.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey, I love the way you put it on your arms. I had a unique opportunity. I was at an event earlier this year with the Lenders One Network, and I got this picture taken. You know, what's your slogan? And this is what came to mind. I'm always grateful, and I'm always curious. Today, I'm super curious to interview Michele, get to know her better. And I'm super grateful for last week. I think this is a big win for every mortgage coach. Everybody on this call, you believe in delivering more value to families, education, and the Mortgage Coach app was recognized by USA Today. This wasn't a solicitation on our part. This is just where a reporter at USA Today was doing research on what are the best apps for first-time homebuyers, and they kind of came up with 5 apps that they think every first-time homebuyer should download and use. And the Mortgage Coach app was one of the 5, and it was the #1 for mortgage. So big shout out to everybody in the Mortgage Coach community. That would not happen if it wasn't for everybody on this call and the thousands of mortgage coaches that deliver this, the total cost analysis to the marketplace. So thank you guys much for what you do. I noticed a lot of you mortgage coaches were out sharing that and bragging about that with your realtors on Facebook. I really recommend this week, coming out of that press, it's a great opportunity for you to share that you are a mortgage coach, that you deliver a total cost analysis with your realtor. So Michele, I know part of the interview, we're going to get into how are you integrating the total cost analysis with your top realtors. I think this week, with that news hitting, it's an opportunity to share it on social. It's an opportunity to get the word out in a lot of different ways. So, Cindy, let's kind of set the table and let's bring Michele in. As many of you know, we've got this, I don't know if we call it contest, this survey going on where we're looking for who are the 100 most successful, highest producing mortgage coaches. And so I've been uncovering a lot of top users that are super successful and they use Mortgage Coach. Through the process we've been going through internally to identify who the mortgage coaches are that are just crushing it. I got to talk to Michele Town. I don't know, it's been months now, Michele, since we first talked, but this is the first time we brought you into the Mortgage Coach community, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know you better. If you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about the market you're in, and then Cindy, once she talks about her market and her practice a little bit, I'll let you take the first round of questions.
Perfect.
No problem. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here, really, and I'm honored to share my story with everybody. I entered the mortgage field, okay, don't laugh, but in 1989 and was a receptionist. And they fired me and hired me as a processor back because I asked way too many questions. And then I moved on into the processing section for a while and then moved into origination in 2007. My market started out as first-time home buyers. I started in a very small community in Borrego Springs. I can lead every single loan that I've ever done back to those, as my old boss used to call it, the car loans. I'm very successful because of this group, and they're like dear to my heart. My mortgage group now has grown a little bit, so we're moving more into the high balance and jumbo land. And but I would tell you that I deal primarily with purchases, and I do refinances for my referring clients.
Fantastic. Before, Cindy, you go, what percentage of your business comes from realtors, realtor referrals?
Mine, 90 to 95% of my business comes from realtor referrals.
Right on. So, Cindy, you're up with questions to get the party rolling.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you all for having me. It's an honor to be here, Dave. And I've been a huge Mortgage Coach fan for many, many, many years. I think going back right to about the time you launched it. But I really want to acknowledge Michele because I have had the pleasure of coaching Michele over the last few months and have really gotten to know a very unique and deep side of her and have gained such huge respect for how she manages and runs her business, and is probably one of the most intentional loan originators I've met in the industry thus far. So I really want to give her huge kudos, and I want you to really listen to some of the things that she has to share because she's a very unique loan originator and has really implemented some key systems that have set her apart in the marketplace on many levels. But on that note, Michele, I know that your business model has been based on really clear processes and systems for your team. So share with us how your team is truly set up and designed, and a little bit about how a loan flows through your system. That would be really helpful, I think, for the team.
Absolutely. So I have right now one junior loan officer, one, I call her my business developer. She's amazing. And then I have a production coordinator or a production partner, I call him. And then I have 2 PAs who basically push everything through. So I have a team of 5 right now. I am very heavy on the ops side. I'm 3 on the ops side and 2 on the sales side and marketing side, but it seems to balance out pretty well right now. How a loan flows through, let's start with a realtor calls me and says, hey, Michele, would you please call John Smith? He's looking to purchase a home. How that process would run is it would actually go to my business developer first, and she makes a phone call out and kind of starts collecting all the documentation for me, the paycheck stubs, bank statements, everything that we need to basically pre-qual the client. If it's on the weekend, I'll usually reach out to them. I do work weekends. I take as many calls as I can. Once the file comes into me, and it's been basically all of the application's been done, the credit's been run, and the file's been stacked in order, I actually do the pre-qualification, call the client, go over their options, use the mortgage coach presentation at that point to show them what their options are, versus, a 0 point, paying points. Sometimes it might be the difference between a conventional versus an FHA if they have a lower credit score. There are a lot of reasons that I like to use the mortgage coach, and also to give my clients several options, because my true job is to educate them and to serve them. It's not to tell them what to do, and I think that was really defining for me a couple years ago. I used to be a teller, and now I'm a listener, I guess, if you want to say. Once the file actually goes to contract, the file will pass over to my production partner, Michael Frazier, and he will take it from there. And then I kind of step back a little bit, which was really hard for me, but I step back and let him drive the bus now. I'm now still communicating with the client, but not on such a deep level anymore. It's more of a, hey, congratulations, let us know if you have anything to do, because I've moved on to the next sale now. But I am on every single email that my team sends out. I am in every single communication that my client gets, because I never want them to feel that I've just dropped them off. Right. When we close, we have a process for that as well. So to jump back just a little bit, when that client calls or when that realtor sends a referral, it immediately goes into my CRM system. And then it immediately goes to my business developer, not only to collect documentation, but she also sends a thank you card out to every single person that I speak to. So we get to know them. That's how we kind of gather their data as well, their home address, their phone number, their emails, because we tell them we want to communicate with them, and then we send them something for doing that. And it could be as simple as just a thank you card. When they go into the pre-approval status, we actually will send them a Starbucks card, something about the process of, what the next steps are in the home buying process, and then we'll communicate with them once a week until they find the property.
That's fantastic. Well, I know that you've got great accolades from your clients. I mean, in a really profound way, I think, in today's world. So it's been really clear that your customers feel really cared for, and I know that because I've read many of your reviews. The reviews are really incredible, and so you've got this huge commitment to customer care, and you're known for that, which is why your repeat business is so high. But tell us a little bit about that, because having exceptional service takes a commitment, obviously not just from you, but also from your entire team. So how do you keep your team focused and motivated to deliver that kind of service, and how have you been so successful at capturing your clients' 5-star, testimonials at the close? Because I assume you have a complete kind of system for that.
I do. The first thing I look for with my team is they truly are a team. And we'll probably get into this a little later, but I don't think I really understood what a team meant until probably 2 years ago, and we grow every month, every day, every second. Sometimes we grow. We look at every single client as a person. I would say that's probably what separates us a little bit. Every person gets a phone call first, not an email. I believe that in this technology, we've really kind of become too reliant on emails and text messages, even though that's how the millennials are going. The basic customer service, I mean, gosh, if I can get in front of them, that's what I want to do. But a lot of people just don't want to. So we've gone to the point of we've got to be able to connect with them somehow. So we do that phone call, that initial phone call. My team is driven by the passion to do a good job for that client. And at that moment, that particular client is the most important person to us. We could care less about the 50 other emails that are flying in right now. We care about when we pick up that phone and call that client. Nothing else is done. No multitasking is done, nothing. That client is our sole focus for those 2 or 3 minutes that we're on the phone with them. And it makes a huge difference.
Well, and I want to interrupt you for just a sec because I don't want that to get lost in the shuffle here. Having that kind of committed presence to your client is something they feel. And when they feel it, that's what creates lifetime clients. It creates them coming back over and over and over again, because that kind of committed presence with your clients develops trust at a very core level. So, I mean, having that kind of presence, you don't have the distraction of emails, you're not, looking at your text messages, you are 100% focused on your clients, is a huge, huge gift that you're giving them in today's world to build trust and a committed relationship right out of the gate. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the things I listen for, and listen, we all get busy and we're all rushing, and sometimes I surround myself with people of the same energy level that I have. That was probably one of the key things to structuring my team, was realizing that I can't have a low-level energy person with a high-level energy team. It didn't work out. We were always in conflict. So one of the things that I listen for now with my clients is, if the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, "I know you're really busy, but," I'm like, oh, I get that ugh. I go, oh, God, and it reminds me to slow down. I have 2 stickers on my computer. One of them says "Be nice," and the other one says "Take a breath."
I love it.
Yeah, because there's 2 things. Sometimes I'm high energy, so sometimes I get irritated, so I have to remind myself to be nice. But the other one, right there, and the other one is on the other side that you don't see it. It says "Take a breath." And if you were to look at my teams that are here, my production, my junior loan officer, and also, and that is Joe Friedman, and Susan Parajas is my business developer. On theirs, it's "Slow down." Or we all have, that's our little mantra. Each of us get a sticker, and if I see that sticker come off, you can go and ask them. I'll go and rewrite it and stick it again and stick it in the middle of their screen, because we really need to remember that the reason why we're here is because of our client and because of our realtor.
You're so right on, and I remember in my career, this is probably 20 years ago, a realtor called me, and I was talking to his engineer client, and he said they decided not to move forward with you because you talked too fast. And I was like, oh my gosh, but I realized at that moment that, like you, I had all this energy, and sometimes I get moving too quickly, and for 2 years I had a sticky on my phone that said "Slow down," so that every time right before I pick up that call, just like you said, I would take a breath, kind of drop back into my body and be very present on that call. And it's really amazing how much that helps. I would imagine those reminders have done a lot to have you be present when you pick up those calls with your clients, so that they feel so cared for.
I agree. Being present is probably the most important. That's why I really like to take my appointments in the evening if I can, because during the day I'm just so distracted, and it's really hard for me to focus. So I really have to kind of turn myself away from my computer screen, because I do have my emails running in. Most of the clients and most of my successful relationships with my clients are the ones that call me at night. They know. They're like, listen, we know you're really busy during the day, and we have a question that can wait. So do you mind if we call you at 6 o'clock? Me, I have a little bit of an unbalanced, and I know, Cindy, because you're my coach, you know I'm very heavily tilted on work right now because I'm in a super growth year, and which requires a lot of dedication for me, which means for me I have to give up a little bit more of my person side for a little bit. The reason why, obviously, that I brought a coach on, and especially why Cindy was attractive to me, was because she works on the personal side of me and the work side of me and helps me find that balance. And that is my goal for this year, is, to find that balance a little bit more and not be so skewed. And finding the right team is huge to me, because now I empower them. I don't second guess them. I try not to micromanage them. It's a constant struggle for me because I am such a control freak. I've learned to trust them a little bit more, let them make the mistakes they need to make, because I have to remember not too long ago I was making those mistakes, and probably not too far in the future I'm going to make another mistake. So if I can remember that they're human beings as well, and that I hired them because they were better at me at certain things. It's so amazing, Cindy, to be at that stage in my career where somebody being more talented than me in a certain area doesn't threaten me anymore. It is so enlightening.
You just hit the nail on the head, because I've watched you kind of up-level your team over the last few years, and I've watched you bring in the right people, the right mix, the right culture, everybody working collaboratively together. You're all kind of paddling the same direction. But I also really want to acknowledge you as someone who has had the opportunity to spend time with you and coach you, is that you are open to redefining yourself and reinventing yourself, and you're not locked into the fact that the way you do it is the only way. Because I see origination teams, I coach a lot of loan originators, and I see people getting very locked into the way they do things. They want to grow their business, but they're not willing to make change. And you have been so incredibly open and not locked into your way is the only way. When things aren't working, you will course correct very, very quickly. And you'll also look in the mirror and say, look, I know I need to be a better leader. I know I need to manage from a different perspective. I need to show more appreciation and gratitude. But you show up in that space in such a beautiful way and own every weakness that you may have. You are so focused on becoming a better loan originator, better leader, and you have created that. I've watched it over the course of the last couple of years with how you've up-leveled your team and how you've managed your team. So I want to acknowledge that, because we all get stuck in our patterns, but you have been really willing to create change to grow and build your team. And on that note, just to kind of finish the last thought, because I think this is a really important point, to get back to how you really are capturing your 5-star testimonials. Like at what point who reaches out to your client? How are you getting those great reviews so that they're logged? Because I know that really can drive a lot of future business when you have that many positive reviews, out in the world about the level of service that you've delivered to your clients. So give us a little more detail around that, if you don't mind.
Sure. For me, there's two things that we do, and I'm sure a lot of people are doing it. We just keep in front of clients. I over-communicate if that's a possibility. When we open up our files, a welcome email goes out to every single party in the transaction, and that includes escrow. So TCs, clients, both agents on each side, we introduce the team, because, again, they're the ones who are going to be communicating, and that's my level in. When I'm speaking to my client, I'm very clear and very clearly defined on, this is what's going to happen now. It's going to look like I'm going to step back, but I'm really not. I'm here. It's just I have people who are better at their job than me. That's going to take you to the finish line now. So the second thing that I do is every Sunday night religiously, whether or not I'm sick, I don't care if I'm on vacation, every Sunday night communication goes out to all parties of the loan, listing agent, selling agent, TCs, and escrow, and clients. And it's just a general status update of, here's where your loan process is at. Throughout the process of the loan, certain milestones, when the file moves to processing, when the file moves to underwriting, once the file is approved, the agent and the client are completely communicated. We don't bring the listing agent in until after the loan is approved and contingencies have been removed, and then they're in on the rest of our milestones, your files and loan documents. Your file is going to be ready for funding. The other thing we do is we do go over every closing statement with the client before they go to loan documents. We don't want any miscommunication. And finally, when we close a loan, again, during this time, I'm also making phone calls to the agents to keep in the loop. When we close a loan, there are 4 phone calls that are made. One is made to the listing agent, one is made to the selling agent, one is made to the client themselves, and the other one is made to the team to congratulate them. So then we ask for the referral. So on our check sheet, we have a marketing piece and a sales piece. The sales has to follow that checklist of calling each of the clients and to congratulate them. We ask for the referral. We ask how our service level was. Was there something we could improve? If they, and then we take notes on that. If there's something that they could improve, we'll actually go and have a meeting. Hey, Joe Schmo said that, you know, he wished that this would have been better. How can we improve that? I make it a team idea so that we can figure out how to make this better. The second thing that we do is 15th, so the 15th day after the loan has closed, so we send out a first-minute reminder, and then again, we ask for a review on Zillow. So we ask twice to the client for a review, and then we always ask the realtor for a review as well. And we have a checklist that we use for an exit interview, basically, on how the process was. Some people don't answer. Some people won't return my phone call. But a lot of the times, I have people with our processes that go, is it possible for you to take some of my loans because this process was amazing? I get so excited when I hear that. I share it with the team immediately, like, oh my gosh, we did such a great job. You guys are amazing. Look, we just landed another possibility of granting an agent. And then again, then my business development goes to work on them and sends them an opening package of who we are, who I am, who RPM is, what our product line is. And then they go into our, you know, and Cindy, I'm sure you'll talk about this soon, is our 6-week realtor campaign after that, where we're going to now, that person's on our radar, and my whole job is to get an appointment in front of them. So we'll do like a 6-week campaign on that.
There's 2 things that I want to point out here that I don't want to skip over lightly because it's huge. You set incredibly clear expectations with your clients, your realtor partners, right out of the gate. They know what to expect. And then they've learned to depend upon it because they know you actually deliver on the expectations you've set. I love the fact that you actually try to connect with them live because I see many loan officers that use just email to communicate with a new client. But I love the fact that you are setting that kind of clear, definitive expectation. And the other thing that is amazing is that you ask for feedback. This is something I've done my whole career, and so many people, Michelle, they don't, you know, it's kind of like, I don't want to hear. If we've had a problem, I don't really want to hear what went wrong, but the reality is that's where one of the transition points comes from a good originator to a top producer, is asking for that feedback, and you sit down with your team and you course it so that you don't have to revisit the problem. I mean, that's the single biggest thing because we keep revisiting the same issue over and over and over, but if you stop and look at why did that customer feel, you know, a negative experience on this particular area, you address the feedback and you figure out how to correct it so the next customer or client doesn't experience that. That asking for feedback and really asking your clients, you know, if it wasn't a perfect experience, where it went wrong, and then addressing how that needs to be, you know, dealt with for the next loan is huge in taking your business to the next level. So I think that's really to be commended. And on that point, I really believe, Michelle, that there is a tipping point in every loan officer's career, and it's that tipping point where you've really built your, you know, you're successful. You're now a mid-tier producer. You've got consistent business rolling in. You've built referral partnerships. But there is a tipping point between the mid-tier producer and kind of jumping into that superstar, you know, top producing status. So, I mean, I know that it's, you know, a myriad of things, but for you, what do you think that tipping point really was, that kind of aha that shifted you from, you know, the mid-tier producer to an absolute industry top producer? Give us some insight around that.
I can tell you to the day and what day it was. It was July 26, 2014. And I had, you know, I was trying to grow. So in 2012 is when I first brought on coaching, and it started elevating me up to the next level. But I didn't know how to get to that next level because, again, I was fearful. I was hiring the wrong people. I was I was, I was looking for people who were like me, which sometimes is not the best thing. You can't have two Michele Towns in the same room because I am a very dominant person. And, we have to go through trial and errors. I was pushing the envelope. I was burning the candle at both ends. I was trying to do everything myself. I was controlling everything in my life, and it was spinning, and I did not know it was spinning. And on the 26th, I made a decision on a loan that was wrong in every aspect. And I got a phone call that I thought I was going to get fired. And it was a tough call. It was right around my birthday, and that same day, I got a call from animal control that and if anybody knows me, knows I'm a big animal advocate. And my dog had gotten through a hole in my fence that I didn't take the time to fix because I was too busy, and got folded in half underneath the car. And they brought her home to die. And it was incredibly, I think it was just a myriad of things that just, I literally, it's going to make me tear up. I cracked. I didn't want to be around anymore. It was just too much for me. And I had 2 weeks. I took a month off. Just completely shut down for a month and walked away. And I was not sure if I was coming back. And I had a couple of key people in my life, Chris Chudikoff, Brett Dillenberg, and my sister, Mary Heath, that really kind of made me make some decisions. Chris Chudikoff was there for me no matter what, helped me take it to the next level, to do what I needed to do, took over whatever I needed and said, go do what you need to do. Brett Dillenberg had a conversation with me that said, this is where you need to decide what kind of loan officer you want to be. And then my sister, who's been in the business forever, had a conversation, and she had the same crack, 10 years prior to me. And she said, this is your defining moment, Michele. She goes, this is where you take this path or this path. And she goes, every single person will have this path, will have this, maybe not to the extent I had, but you have to make that decision at that time in your life. What do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? Why did you become an originator? And I was so focused, and everybody was pressuring me so much to hit these numbers, and they became my sole focus. I was looking at my numbers every day and driving myself crazy.
Right.
And I got away from why I do this. And I do this because of the client. And so I sat there, and I took 2 weeks, designed a new business plan, and changed everything. I walked in back to work. I can't remember what day it was exactly, but I walked back into work, and I said, things are going to change, and they start today. And I just shifted everything. I stopped taking on those loans that were impossible because I didn't like being told no. I realized that I had limitations. I became humble. I started looking for talent that was better than me, and being okay with that. I looked at my clients and realized, that some of my clients knew what had happened and had called me, and I thought, oh my God, this is the guy that I helped close a loan for, and he heard about what happened and called and, sent stuff for me and my dog, a care package. My God, this is just a guy I did a loan for, and I thought, holy crud, I need to remember why I do this, and that's why I do it. Cindy, you did a presentation for us. It was in 2014 as well. I won't forget, it was one of our sales rallies, and you did a presentation with and talked about Queen, and you said, hey, oh gosh, what's his name? Dang it, my brain stops when I'm all flustered. Freddie Mercury. You said, you did a presentation that said Freddie Mercury was interviewed by Rolling Stones, and Rolling Stones said, how do you like being a rock star, Freddie Mercury? And Freddie Mercury, in its great, eclectic way, said, I'm not a rock star, I'm a legend. And that's
Right.
what I took. That's what I want to be. I don't need to be a rock star. I don't need to be the top producer in the world. I don't need to make $1 million a year. I need to be a legend, and a legend to me means I need to give the best service that I can. I need to remember that the reason why I'm doing this is because of my client. And I have to remember that my team members have breaking points as well. And just because I'm a little skewed on the work side and I can push myself to levels that I can't, I've got to remember that I've got to give them their time to be who they need to be. And they need to be included in this whole process.
Well, it's a really important point. You know, it's an important point because having a team and having them understand how they contribute and how valuable they are is huge. But your defining moment, I mean, there's a lot of people on this call in their own ways that have had their own defining moments. I mean, we all get leveled at some point in our life, and it hits us in many different ways. And you're right. It's like you've got a choice as to how you want to show up. And you could have just crumbled and fallen and gone and started over in something else. You're extremely talented. You could be successful at whatever you wanted to do. But, you know, what doesn't, you know, kill us makes us stronger, obviously. And you made a decision that you wanted to run your business a different way, and you stepped back in saying, you know, the business is going to change and it's going to start today. And you got really clear on your why. And in our business, we talk about the why a lot, but I was just coaching someone yesterday on, you know, why you do what you do, and to integrate that why statement into every conversation we have, because that why is what fuels us. And most of us are successful who have a passion for their why. You know, the money comes. You're not doing this for the money. You're very successful financially. But I know, as someone that knows you, you are so clear on why you're here and why you're doing what you do, and everyone around you feels that. And it's incredible to watch you in action. But I really want people to hear this, that you became very clear on your why, and that gave you the fuel to start over again.
Exactly. And if I could give 3 points to anybody who's starting in the business and who, you know, you have to invest back in yourself, and that means not just financially, it means emotionally as well. You know, there comes a point where you look at coaching. Is it going to be right for me? Coaching is absolutely key to me, because when I'm done, I'm very clear. I have a person, an advocate, somebody that I can, accountability partner that I can talk to. And sometimes, listen, the thing about being, for me, the thing about being in this business is sometimes we don't talk about the bad stuff. And I don't hide from that anymore. I used to think I was the only one having problems. Like, oh my gosh, you know,
right.
Oh God, I totally screwed up on this, and gosh, I'm the only one. I'm such a loser. And you know, and then when you get in a group with, you know, other loan officers, they go, oh God, I did that last week. And you go, well, how come you didn't share it with me? Because you think you're so alone, and you're really, you're so not. But for key people, that are just starting, really invest back into your business. I mean, if you can take 10% of whatever you earn and put it back into your business, and if 10% of what you earn right now is $1,000 or $500 or $100, I just want you to know that you can do something with $100. You can do something with $50. You can buy some Starbucks cards. You can get some thank you cards. That's what I mean by reinvesting. You know, really start your core processes now, because that's what's going to drive you. That's every time I go back to my core. What is my core? What is my core? What is my why, as Cindy likes to say? My core is customer service. It is what I strive for. It's what I live for. It makes me able to sleep at night, because I know even if a file is going sideways, I can go to bed at night now and sleep. I think last year, 2014, before I had my break, I was working 16 to 18-hour days. I had ulcers beyond belief. I was dropping weight, and not for the right reasons. I was smoking way too many cigarettes, and I had blood coming out of areas that were never supposed to be coming out of. That is not the way that I want to live.
Absolutely.
When I made that change, I think last year I lost sleep over a loan twice. This year, so far, 0.
It's huge. It's huge to start to acknowledge that, you know, you've got to manage the business and not allow the business to 100% manage you. So you decided to take control and get it back in balance, and to hire the right team that could take the burden off you. And the other thing that I want to acknowledge is you also have had to learn to let go, because most top originators are control freaks, and letting go is probably one of the single biggest lessons that people, you know, they're really challenged around. You know, they're not going to do it as well as I can do it, and that's probably true initially. But the key is to train your people and to empower your people, and then to be able to let go so you can actually be a top originator and have some sort of balance in your life, which is obviously key to health, because without it, none of it matters. So I do want to bring Dave back into the conversation, Dave, and just see if you've got anything you'd like to share from the conversation we've had thus far.
Well, it's been an incredible conversation. I mean, obviously incredibly emotional, which I do, when I've interviewed top mortgage professionals, there's a number of traits that they have in common, but that why, when I ask them, why are you a mortgage professional, there is a clarity, and some of them have a really a story like yours where they hit a bottom and it all changed in a single day. Sometimes it changes in a year, sometimes it changes over years, but there's a why. One of my goals when we do these mortgage coach calls is to help mortgage coach professionals just be better mortgage coaches, deliver a total cost analysis to more families, to do it in a way that's more personal and more compelling. So I think a good transition question is, why are you a mortgage coach? Why do the families that you serve get a total cost analysis? And I don't know if there was a day when you decided you were going to do it or not, but I would love to know that tipping point story as a mortgage coach.
As a mortgage coach, I can tell you part of the business plan that I developed back in July of 2014 was bringing in the mortgage coach. Sometimes my words and what I want to say that are stuck in my head don't come out very well when I'm putting it on paper or when I'm talking to a client. Sometimes I either over-talk or I've confused the client. So what I realized with the mortgage coach total cost analysis and the rent versus own is it's very simple. I love the graphs. Again, for the first-time home buyers, that's an amazing graph. If you take a look at that 60-month rent versus own, it is staggering when you're talking to a client. You say, listen, you're paying $1,300 a month rent right now. Did you realize in 16 months or in 60 months, in 5 years, you'll have paid $120,000 to your landlord's rent? And if you just take a little bit of sacrifice right now, you're going to have, $118,000 in equity, plus tax write-offs, plus everything. That is when I started using the mortgage coach. Now, I mean, it's just an amazing, right, what I'm looking at on the screen right now, it's an amazing program to use. And if you're not using it, you're really, I still am learning. I still need to learn better. I still need to learn how to use the mobile app better. And I'm just starting to get into that technology. Technology sometimes escapes me because I am 48. And I have, thank goodness I've hired younger people because they show me how to turn on my phone sometimes. So, but using the mortgage coach was amazing.
So I mean, at the end of the day, when you came up with your, redefined your business, it's all about customer service, and part of that is how you educate families. This was just a tool that you had to adopt. How long did it take you from the time that you kind of made it part of your plan, you decided that you needed to do it, until you started doing it with every family? And then I guess, before I assume you use it with every family, what percentage of the borrowers you serve or the family that you serve, get a total cost analysis?
So I will tell you, every pre-qual, we probably do 10 to 15 what we call quotes at least a week. Every single one of them gets a mortgage coach analysis. Every single one of them, depending on whether we do the total cost analysis versus the rent versus own, it just depends on their situation. I will tell you that we are getting more and more openings now that we send an email with a link and we highlight the link now. That's really brought it out. When we're also talking to them on the phone, we're asking them if they are in front of a computer, we're seeing if they can get on and we can do a live presentation while we're on the phone with them. That is something that we've just integrated in. I'm not a big video person. I haven't really integrated that in, but that's fear for me. That's one of my goals for this year is to step through. I have to once a month step out of my box, as I call it. I have to cross over on the fear, and one of them is video. The other is going to broker open with 200 agents that I don't know, and actually being able to speak without making a blubbering idiot of myself or have sweat marks underneath my armpits that are so awful that people go, oh my God, what's wrong with her? So stepping out of the box. I mean, I'm and people, when they see me, they go, "You're so confident." And I go, "Oh my God, no, I'm not. I'm just like you. I put my pants on one leg at a time like anybody else, and I have just as much fear as everybody."
I love it. Well, you're overcoming that fear. You're creating new habits, new workflows. You've obviously created hundreds of Mortgage Coach total cost analysis. Let's drill down a little bit on this rent versus own. I know you gave me 3 samples that we could talk about during the call. Is this a good first one to talk about, or would you prefer to talk about it? Is this a good one?
No, it's a great first one to talk about, because that one is a great, somebody's paying, $2,250 in rent right now, and they're looking at, purchasing, a $275,000 home. And if you actually open up the rent versus own and you look at you can look at the cost breakdown, which I love, but if you look at there you go, the rent versus principal paid in 15 years, I mean, that's just crazy, $540,000 in rent. This, I cannot tell you guys, if you're not using this, it is, looking at this graph right here, it is incredibly, stands right out on how much money they're spending, and people don't realize it until they look at it, and they're like, oh my gosh. And so then when you have to lead into them and say, listen, I want to get you to your goal, and then you go back and look at the cost analysis versus the tax benefit, that leads you to another conversation to have with. Obviously, I always refer to people back to their accountants when they're talking about tax benefits, but when you look at the actual tax benefits of owning a home, and you tell, I always listen to people, because that's how I learn and become I'm always evolving. And I had somebody explain it to me, which was a great way. He says, when I explain the tax benefits, what I do is I tell them, think about the IRS as creating a savings account for you. Because that money, if you don't want to change, a lot of people get scared about changing their deductions. He says, what I do is I tell them, listen, you're paying $700 a month that the IRS is holding for you, and they're going to give it back to you at the end of the year. So, and they love that. I get so much better feedback on explaining it that way than I was in the way that I was. So I love this program. It's amazing.
So everybody gets it. Now, let's talk about there's 2 things. One, a client, someone on the call asked, how do you segue to talk about the financial advice with the family? And then I also really want to drill down with how you've integrated this into your realtor conversation, so that I would imagine that, given what a great rent versus own analysis you provide, that realtors would want you to deliver that, to create urgency, to create clarity so the family understands their options. I would imagine that a family that's gone through your rent versus own is going to be a better client to a realtor than someone that's not. They've just kind of done their own back of the napkin, rent versus own. So first, let's talk about how you segue into this to the family, and then let's talk about how do you explain this to realtors, and when and where do you explain it to them so that realtors understand your value.
Okay, so segue into, so when I'm finishing up a pre-qual and we're actually going to how much can a borrower afford, one of our we have an intake form that we use. One of the questions is how much do you pay in rent? And then the second question is what would you like your mortgage payment to be? And I mean that's huge to ask the people, because it's funny when you actually listen to what they say, and they say, well, I really want my payment to be $2,000 a month, and they want a $500,000 house. So it leads me into saying, well, do you have a moment? Can you log onto your computer right now? And let's take a look at, what that means for you. And so what I'll do is I'll shift it down and say, here's where I can get you if you want your payment to be $2,000 a month. And then that's what segues me into, but here's your tax benefits. So actually you can buy this amount of house. And some people get it. Some people need some more time to absorb it. But it's a great way to segue. And then we take that one step further for a realtor. I think that a client that has been through the mortgage coach is much easier for the realtor to take them out shopping, and there's a reason for that. We've already told them, hey, $2,000 on a $500,000 home is not realistic. You can't do that. But if you want to push your level up, and here's where you can go, then they at least know where their buying power is. and we've already taken that fear away of, oh my gosh, I have a $3,000 payment now. We've already discussed that. So when the realtor goes to show them a $500,000 home, they're already, okay, we already got it. The realtor doesn't have to go through, I know it's more than you wanted to spend, but we don't have to do that because we've already done that for them. We've already educated them. We've given them the Mortgage Coach app. We've done, I use Mortgage Map as well. I've given the Mortgage Map app, and I say, here, use this for your calculations as well so that you guys can figure out what your house payment is. When I do a presentation, I always do it in $25,000 increments because I want them to see how much $25,000 is going to cost them. My realtors love that because what happens if they tell them that they only want a 275 house, and I've given them a 275, a 300, and a 325, and I know that they pre-approved a 325, the realtor is going to set them into that 325 so that they can see what the difference of $50,000 is going to buy them, and it's eye-opening for them.
So at the end of the day, the borrowers that are referred to you for a pre-qual, they have more clarity around what their options are. They have more clarity around the value of buying a home. So, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Cindy, any questions you want to go from a mortgage coach perspective with Michele before I ask a couple other questions? Any directions you want to take it?
Well, I think she hit the nail on the head that it gives the realtor such incredible confidence. And the other thing that you talked about, Michele, is showing the different incremental, like you said, you do it in $25,000 increments. I know that even on my own team, that has been probably one of the biggest things is people, they feel there's a cutoff, and as soon as they realize how really it's incrementally so small in terms of what they're going to have to pay an additional payment after the tax benefit, that you can take somebody up, in our market sometimes a couple $100,000 and realize they're still going to be safe and secure in their new payment and actually be able to get the home that they want to live in. So many times they just don't understand that they can and that they have the capabilities. So I would imagine that what you're building in terms of trust with your clients and your realtor partners is huge. And like you said, to not have to have the conversation when they're out in the field looking at houses, the realtor can in confidence go show them a property that's $50,000 more, knowing that they're fully capable of affording that payment if they choose to do that. But I mean, do you share any of this information as you continue down the path with, who are you sharing the information with, Michele? You're sharing it with the client, obviously. You said you send it to the realtor partner. Anybody else you include?
Not right now. I mean, my team does have a copy of it as well. So again, we have a team email that any quote goes to. So the reason we do that is if for some reason I'm out of the office, if somebody calls in and had a quick question on something, anybody can access that information right away. And we also, our CRM system builds this in, so it's great. The other thing that, and again, sorry, Dave, I don't think I sent you any examples of my 3 different choices. I'm like, but I do share it with the realtor, and I try to impress on them how important it is. And so the realtor is also included when I send out options to a realtor referral. I do communicate with them as well. They're on pretty much, if it doesn't have any proprietary or sensitive information for the client, I will actually include my realtor on everything. I also just, I always tell them what an amazing, opportunity they're having with, Anna Dickinson. So let's say that that's the realtor that referred me. I'm always plugging her as well, and so that she sees that I'm actually working as her partner as well. So even though she referred me, I'm always plugging them. Oh my gosh, Anna's going to be able to take some great things. I always plug her name into the conversation so that I'm always keeping them in the forefront as well.
Love it. So there's been a lot of best practices. I want to kind of unpack a few things as we wrap up this call. Before I do that, I pulled up this email. I think this is the email you were referencing. Is this, give us some context. What is this and how is this used within your sales process?
Well, actually, that is not the email that email actually comes to me, and then I actually send a different email out. Right, I'm sure I sent that to you. Yeah.
Okay, but this one,
that's a great, yeah.
It's a great email. It's a good team email because there's a link here for you to click on live. There's a link to add a video or an audio, and then there's your client link. So, you guys have done a nice job of building in, what I think is a great system into your process. Every great loan officer has different systems, different processes. Michele was kind enough to share a lot of checklists. I'm not going to go through these one at a time, other than to say that all of the checklists that she was willing to share, her funding close checklist, these are uploaded in the slides, so in the GoToMeeting handout. Some of her checklists, some of the things that we shared during the call, they're all here. Also, this call is recorded, so you can go back and listen to the recording where we showcase some of these. But let's unpack this call in the last 5 minutes. To me, big takeaway is, you said be a legend. It wasn't even about being a loan officer. It wasn't about how much your production was. It was just be someone that people remember, someone that's beyond rock star. You're a rock star that I'll always remember, at least in the context of the mortgage business. And I think that's huge, and that really drives into your why. Now, Cindy, you said something really smart. You said a lot of things really smart, as you always do. But I thought this was a good one. And I think every loan officer on this call, you have to manage your business, not let your business manage you. Again, much easier said than done. So, I mean, this is something I think a lot of us know, but, actually implementing and executing is always more difficult than you think. But my goal in all of these calls is hopefully we connected at a heart level. Hopefully you got some ideas that you're going to take action on, and hopefully you're going to start making sure every family that you serve gets a total cost analysis. It's the best way to give clarity. It's the best way to give value, and it is really, when you think of all the touch points that you're providing to a borrower and that you're providing to a realtor, what's more valuable, what's more personalized than a total cost analysis, where you ask the family, what are your goals, and then you show them how to achieve their goals within the context of the mortgage strategy that you're bringing to them. So, Cindy, we got about 3 minutes left. Any last questions you want to ask, or any big takeaways you want to share before we go into wrap-up mode?
Well, I think what Michele really depicted here on the call is that she has learned to continue to develop and enhance her systems. Obviously, Mortgage Coach being, a key factor in the system that she uses to convey her information. But Michele is somebody that definitely, at this stage of the game, is managing her business. And I know that it's not an easy thing to do, but there are practices, just like anything else, that you can learn and bring into your daily practice. A lot about is, the number one complaint I get from loan originators is time management and feeling really unproductive because they're so busy with so many priorities bombarding them all day long from all different aspects, as we know, with everything going on, that, all the compliance or regulation that has impacted how we spend our time. But I think it's about getting really clear in terms of how you manage your time blocking, so that you can work on your business, not just in your business, if you want to take it to the next level. It's like Michele is always course correcting her team. She deals a lot with culture and keeping the culture high, addressing issues. One thing I really want to acknowledge with Michele, she doesn't sweep anything under the carpet. When there's an issue, she handles it forthright and direct right out of the gate. And I see a lot of originators that are managing teams that don't address problems, so they don't get corrected, and then it fuels unnecessary negative energy with the team. So to keep the team working at optimal speed, you've got to really manage the team effectively, and she does that really incredibly well. So there are skill sets around how to do that and drive your business to the next level by being an effective leader.
Well, Michele, we're going to give you the final question in just a second here. Cindy, for anybody that wants to connect with you online, again, you're an amazing coach, and I know the way you roll, you just deliver value to everybody that you touch. So if you could tell folks, anybody on the call, they want to connect with you and learn more about, the defining difference in what you're doing, what's the best way to do that?
Thank you, Dave. Either through my website, thedefiningdifference.com, can also be accessed by cindiertman.com. You can email me at cindy@thedefiningdifference.com. I am launching a new Mortgage Mastermind Elite program, which I'm super excited about. We're going to be launching it this summer, and I'm going to be rolling it out at in a couple of weeks here in Las Vegas. But I'm really excited to be able to support 20 high-performance loan originators and really support the team as a whole, and really where high-level, originators come together to share best practices and accelerate their results. So, or you can just email me directly, and I'll be happy to get you some more information. So thank you, Dave.
Perfect. Well, thank you. And Michele, knowing that you have, hundreds of Mortgage Coach on the call, our goal is always to get them to use Mortgage Coach every step of the way. But what advice do you have for loan officers that are on the call that are listening to you? And let's just say they're half in, they're kind of like, it's cool, it's valuable, I give it to some people, but they're not giving it to everybody. What advice do you have to get them across the hump and get it to where every family they serve is getting a Mortgage Coach report no matter where they're at? Any wisdom?
Yes, consistency is everything. In this business, you have to send a consistent message. So even though you think a borrower may not want that Mortgage Coach because you say, oh, he doesn't need one, if you're consistent with your message, consistent with your delivery, it will become second nature to you. And then that one person you didn't think needed it is going to be that one that opens it, and you're going to go, see, I didn't think he needed it. So do your Mortgage Coaches. It's imperative. It is incremental to your business, and it is going to help your realtors realize that you have taken your mortgage business to a business level, a professional level. You're just not a mortgage originator. You're now a mortgage professional.
Love it. So, folks, next week I am going to be interviewing a top realtor. This is actually a picture from one of this realtor's open houses. It's a realtor in Northern California. She's been doing an amazing job with using Mortgage Coach at open houses. She's been partnering with Mortgage Coach Millennial Robert Ring. So don't miss next Tuesday. Learn how to take open house experiences to the next level from both a realtor and a mortgage professional. Please let us know what you thought of today's call on a scale of good to wow. If you are a guest and you want to learn more about Mortgage Coach, click the last option that you want to get a demo and learn more. So Cindy, I'm super grateful. Looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks. Thank you so much for the value on today's call. And Michelle, I can't wait for our next interview. You rocked it out today.
Well, great. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks at Mastermind.
Thanks, Dave.
All right.
Thanks, Michelle. Great job.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. And again, remember, everybody, go to our calendar on our website. Keep updated on trading. And, last but not least, knowing that we got a big shout out in the USA Today, let's make sure that we get the total cost analysis out to all of our realtors and the families that we serve. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic week.